Welcome back, Legends, to another episode review and breakdown for DC's Land of Tomorrow Season 7. We are now 2 episodes in here, and things are really starting to level up here and take to the next level because things are going down, things are being set up, and we have a lot to talk about, especially because I'm so excited for next week's episode. I mean, obviously everything that's going on here in Season 7 is, it's good so far. It's not great quality, but it's average Legends episodes that we're getting so far. But next week's episode is the 100th episode, so I'll talk about that more at the end of the video, but I'm so hyped for that episode. But before we get into actually talking about and recapping and breaking down Season 7 Episode 2, one thing I did want to mention is that we have a new intro for this season. So we got a new intro, I think it was Season 6, and it was like the new updated intro that they also did a very similar one on The Flash. And this season, it's very, very different because it's all in 1920 style. So I thought that was really cool, seeing new looks of these characters all in black and white. You also got a great look at Matt Ryan's character of Dr. Gwyn Davies in that opening sequence. So I thought that was really cool, and I don't think that's something that too many people have mentioned too much, but yeah, that is something we got here, so that was definitely really cool to see, to change things up a bit for a change. But anyways, guys, of course, spoiler warning if you've not seen this episode. Again, DC's Land of Tomorrow Season 7 Episode 2, The Speed of Thought. So this episode picks up right where Episode 1 ended off, and it just continues the story right there where Hoover is dead, and it's kind of Nate's fault, but at the same time, also not. I mean, Hoover's the one that shot the bullet. Nate was just doing self-defense, but anyway, Hoover ends up dead, and then Gary had to eat the body, because he's an alien. So, to preserve the timeline, Nate now has to pose as Hoover, once again, on a train. But this time, Gary actually makes a potion, so that Nate actually looks like Hoover throughout this episode. And Nate is kind of the star of this episode. He's got the main story arc in this episode that kind of comes full circle by the end. He starts off being super, kind of upset and angry about it because, he just killed a man. So, of course, that's kind of the reaction you'd have. But throughout this episode, you see him do some different stuff, posing as Hoover, solving some mysteries. And, by the way, Nick Zano, who plays the character, had a really solid performance in this episode. So we had him solving a mystery and doing all that stuff, beating up some people. So I really like seeing all that throughout the episode. And by the end of it, of course, Nate is going to have to forgive himself for basically killing Hoover, even though, again, it technically wasn't really even his fault. It was self-defense, but whatever. We have that arc throughout the episode, so that was really cool seeing Nate take the spotlight. Once again, really getting to see him use his history knowledge again, something that's been lacking in the past couple seasons, so I like that they've been utilizing that a little bit more lately. But meanwhile, as that is going on, Sarah and Ava decide to finally go on their honeymoon because they just got married in the season finale of Season 6, so they haven't had a chance to do a honeymoon, so they decide to use the key to go into Zari's new pocket dimension, which of course looks like the manor that John Constantine left for her, to kind of do their honeymoon. And Zari is still there, moping around. She ate Behrad's gummy bears, so now she's like super high because she ate a lot of those. So I actually really did enjoy seeing high Zari throughout this episode. And Sarah and Ava, like I said, they're honeymooning, if you know what I mean. Very, very loudly, apparently, according to Zari. But what's really interesting here is how Zari is kind of trying to figure out, what happened to the Waverider and who was the one that actually came in the alternate Waverider to blow up their Waverider. And it was really interesting how she went about it because, again, she seemed kind of crazy throughout this, but at the same time, it also kind of made sense in a couple different ways, because we had the bottle in the fridge, and then it kept being bottle after bottle, basically creating a time paradox. So then both Zari and Ava then basically write names on all these different bottles to come up with all the various suspects of who could be in control of that other Waverider, and we get some great DC Arrowverse references like Lex Luthor, the Paragons, Rip Hunter, Damien Dark, Bebo, of course, and by the end of it, they do land on a certain bottle where they're kind of like, ooh, could that really be a possibility? I don't know, I didn't think this would be a thing, and then that and that, and basically it kind of seems like that's the obvious one, that's going to be the big reveal to be. but we never get to see it. So there's not really any clues here to kind of theorize about it. It could be literally anyone. I mean, it could honestly literally just be an alternate version of the legend. We don't really know for sure, but I'm really excited to find out. But obviously we're not going to be finding out next week. At least I don't think we will. That's probably going to be a mystery saved for later. But again, there wasn't really any clues set up here to try and solve this mystery, so we're kind of just going to have to sit tight with that and wait and see in the future. But after all that happens, then Ava and Sara go back and meet up with the legends, with Nate and Behrad and Gary on the train where they're met up by Al Capone. And then all of a sudden, the real Hoover shows up. And of course, they're super confused because they're like, wait, first of all, isn't he supposed to be dead? And second of all, Gary literally ate his body. So who is this guy? Well, this turns out to actually be a robot. So this was a big reveal here, and then it ends up self-destructing and everything. But what is going on here? So clearly somebody created the robot, but the question is who? Who had the knowledge that J. Edgar Hoover died and that could create this robot? I mean, it could possibly be Dr. Gwyn Davies. Maybe he's going to have some ulterior motives here and actually end up being a villain in this season. We don't know. Again, just like with the whole bottle thing, there's not enough clues to really figure it out. But it is definitely an interesting mystery that I'm excited to see where they go later on in the season. And then for our final storyline in this episode, we have Spooner and Astra again still kind of at the ranch at Spooner's mom's house. And now they're dealing with human Gideon, who showed up at the end of the season 7 premiere. And I find it really interesting how Spooner's mother actually put it by basically saying that Astra is a mother because she is the reason that Gideon is now a human, and basically what she did trying to bring back the Waverider created this human Gideon. So in a way, Astra's now a mother, which was pretty crazy going on there. But throughout this episode, we see some stuff trying to communicate with Gideon because for some reason Gideon cannot speak, and you just have to assume that that's probably just because she's like adjusting to be a human or something like that. I don't really know for sure, but by the end of it, Spooner actually realizes that she has more power than she originally realized, because last season her whole thing was that her superpower was that she can communicate with aliens. That was something I talked about in my videos for last season, like what are they going to do with this character after the season when we're not dealing with aliens anymore? Like, is she just going to be completely useless? Well, it turns out it's not just aliens that she can communicate with, it's really all types of species, and she just has other ways of communicating. So she's able to give Gideon the ability to speak, and Gideon reveals when Dr. Gwyn Davies' time travel experiment is going to go down. It's 2 weeks from now, but they have to find Dr. Davies before the legends do, or the legends will die. And we don't exactly find out why, but clearly something is not going on good there. And again, this could connect back to maybe he's the one that sent that robot. Maybe he is going to be a villain. We don't know for sure, but I'm definitely excited to find out. But again, we're probably not going to be finding out next week, because next week is the 100th episode of DC's Legends Tomorrow, where we're getting the return of so many familiar faces from the first couple seasons. We got Wentworth Miller back as Captain Cold. We got both halves of Firestorm. We got Hawkman. We got Adam. We got Nora Dark. We got Rip Hunter. It's going to be so awesome. I did a video last week breaking down all the characters that are returning. I'm so excited for this episode. The promo gets me so hyped. Honestly, it's probably going to be one of the best episodes of Legends Tomorrow. Definitely the best from the later half of the series. But yeah, I'm very excited for it. I'm really excited to see where things go here in this next week's episode, because it's going to be a big one, the big 100. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about DC's Legends Tomorrow Season 7, Episode 2? And of course, let me know all your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life. Yeah,